Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. NASCAR Today, Charlotte Motor Speedway on a very special Saturday morning because the World 600 is not until next week. Hey, if you bend up a car tonight, you got 3 or 4 days to fix it. And that might be a good thing, too, because history, plus just common sense, tell you, we could see some bent-up race cars tonight in the Winston Select. Starts at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. 20 invited drivers, the cream of the crop in our sport. A 3-leg format, and you don't necessarily have to finish the thing because it doesn't pay any points. It does pay $200,000 to win the last leg. It's the closest our sport comes to winner take all, so you figure out the strategy. And it all happens on the only super speedway in the world equipped for night racing. So we'll take a half hour to preview it, and then we'll all kick back and watch our heroes shoot out the lights. Charlotte's high buck illumination system, just one unique feature of this Speed Palace. Last night, those bright lights shone on the weirdest qualifying session of the season. Our Alan Bestwick was there to cover it.
Dave, this is Charlotte. They do things a little different here. Where else would you find a 3-lap qualifying run with a 2-tire green flag pit stop in the middle? Dale Earnhardt got the crowd wound up as the first car on the track and cranked out the 4th fastest run. Then it was Sterling Marlin's turn. He said things were going well until right here when the setting sun crossed him up.
You couldn't see pit road the way the sun is. You come through there and all of a sudden you're blinded and you swerve pit road, and you kind of heard the speed coming down pit road.
Marlin ended up 5th. Elton Sawyer's first ever run in this race was spoiled when his car stalled during the pit stop and wouldn't refire. Then Bobby Labonte came on the track, and here's where things get spectacular. Watch here when he dives off the track and onto pit road. Smooth and very fast. That plus a good pit stop let Labonte break the old track record, then sit around and watch 11 others take a shot at him. Jeff Gordon took his turn. Said the reason he ended up 7th was that he messed up.
You know, this thing's one really coming down pit road and on your pit stop, and I choked, you know, when it came to coming down pit road. I hadn't practiced it, I hadn't done it, and I'm not going to make excuses, but I just didn't get the program done when it came time to come down pit road.
Rusty Wallace was next. He came real close to getting their qualifying record back from Labonte, but came up 0.4 of a second slow. He'll start 2nd. Dale Jarrett had a good pit stop, but says his laps weren't fast enough to get him any better than 3rd.
We were off on the chassis. I mean, that, you know, you don't think the lap counts that much, but whenever you lose some time on the racetrack, I think we did as good a job as anybody getting in and out of the pit, but just lost a little time on the track.
And the final car to run, Jimmy Spencer, provided some excitement. First, he almost lost it coming down pit road. Then, when they dropped the jack, Spencer's engine raced, but he didn't go anywhere. The drive shaft broke. So here's a look at the 15-car field. Labonte with the $50,000 pole, followed by Wallace, Jarrett, Earnhardt, and Marlin. That's 2 Fords and 3 Chevys. You've got Rudd, Gordon, Martin, Jeff Bodine, and Darrell Waltrip 6th through 10th in the starting field. Terry Labonte had a penalty for a loose lug nut. Bill Elliott had a lug nut fall off on his pit stop. And you see Sawyer and Spencer in the final 2 spots. We're here with the pole winner, Bobby Labonte. Now, you took my breath away when you came off of turn 4 down that pit lane. What was it like in the car?
Well, I tell you, I mean, you know, I didn't get to practice none today because the pit road was too wet, so they canceled it. It was just one of those deals where I didn't even look at pit road the first time by. I forgot. And I said, well, okay, next time by, I guess I'll have to stop. So I came in there, and I thought, well, okay, I should let off here. And I got back on the gas, let off again, turned left. And there it was, getting on pit road, got on it. I mean, the car didn't get upset or anything, and just slid out a little bit. And I took off and kept the motor revved up because I didn't want to kill the engine while they did the pit stop because it might not crank back up. And didn't know exactly what to do, to be honest with you, and just did whatever I thought was right or whatever wasn't right. Who knows? And just came in there, stopped, slid right to the pit board. I mean, it was perfect to the pit board because usually I don't hit pit boards whenever I'm going slow. So, I mean, for a change, I got something right. Took off pretty hard and, you know, had good laps, too. Lap time was real good. We had a good, consistent lap time. So, yeah, I felt real good about that.
$50,000, you buying lunch?
Sure, let's go.
All right, that's the pole winner, Bobby Labonte. Starting first tonight, $50,000 richer for it, too.
All right, thanks, guys. Now let's talk about the format. It's so much a part of this race. The fast qualifiers start up front, just like usual. They run 30 laps, then throw a yellow. They can do a little work on the cars. Here's the key. They invert the field. Fast guys from the first leg go to the back. for another 30-lap segment. Then it's a quick 3-lap yellow to get fresh tires and set up the 10-lap run for all the bad hides. So we come to the question of strategy. Who better to ask than the '89 winner of the race, Rusty Wallace? We're going to see that exciting finish a little later. I want to ask you about sandbagging. Last year, I think Bodine laid back in that first segment to get the good starting spot in the second segment. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I think what the guys think, a lot of people think, now, do we want to sit here and say we're real hardcore racers and doggone it, we're really great, we're going to come from the back to the front, or do we want to leave with all the money? And I think a lot of guys say we want to leave with all the money. Heck, with everybody thinks the way we do it. But I don't believe I can do it that way. I think I'm going to have to run hard and try to do all I can. There's a lot of bonus money out there for leading the first deal, but there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of sandbagging, and I don't know who did it all, but I will tell you it does go on.
Here's the real question. Can you really plan a strategy in this deal, or do you pretty much have to make it up as you go along?
You got to make it up as you go along, and I tell you, to go from the very back to the very front in 30 laps, you got to have a real hell of a hot rod, no doubt about it. And there's been some real hot rods out here, and those guys that had those good cars were able to get to the front and get it done. And I believe I can do it too.
All right, there's a man who sounds like he's very confident. Rusty Wallace, former winner of this Winston Special Invitational race. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about rule changes. We'll talk more about fast cars, and we'll hang with the Winston Cup heroes here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Stay with us.
NASCAR Today is brought to you by the NASCAR Story, the complete history of NASCAR on home video. To order, call 1-800-71-NASCAR.
Welcome back. The last 3 races on the Cup Tour ran on in order. The shortest, the longest, and the most unusual track on the circuit. And in that 3-week run, nobody had a wilder ride than the Winston Cup champion.
And Earnhardt goes behind the wall. Straight behind the wall. They don't even stop on pit road. They take him behind the wall and frantically trying to work on the car.
Dale Earnhardt's Martinsville crash was his second in the spring season of 3 straight short track races. See Dale's big point lead dwindle. At Talladega, Earnhardt wrecked again, this time with a little help from Morgan Shepherd. See that point lead disappear completely. Jeff Gordon gets the $100,000 bonus for leading points after Talladega. But Earnhardt came back a week later at Sears Point, passed Mark Martin when it mattered, and scored his first Winston Cup road racing victory ever. So the point lead ends up back in the hands of the man in silver. The man in silver. What's up with this paint job anyway?
That's a happy birthday to 25 years of Winston Cup racing to R.J. Reynolds, really, and I think it's a pretty neat deal. Everybody's making a big thing about me driving a silver car, but it's doing something for Winston's 25th year anniversary.
Can you say collectible? We'll be selling a few of those for sure. Let me ask you, when you get ready to paint it back to black, is there going to be a straight fender on it? This format just about demands that guys are going to run into each other, huh?
Nah, we're going to have a straight race car to paint. Easy paint job. Easy.
Take me back.
Be out front.
Give me a quick recollection of what I think may be the defining moment in the history of this race, and that was the pass in the grass, the first time we really saw what you guys were willing to do for $200,000. How well do you remember that day? What brought that about?
Well, it was an exciting day. We already had a couple good spins, and Elliott and I were just doing everything we could trying to beat each other, and we got bumped and went in the grass and came back out still leading the race. So, exciting day.
Yeah. All right, man, go to work. Give us some more thrills here, okay?
All right, we'll do it.
All right, that is Dale Earnhardt. And, of course, that pass in the grass marked the first of his 3 victories here and really set the tone for this race. Ever since, the story has been the same. One guy goes home rich, and a lot of guys go home mad. Well, back in '87, Bill Elliott took a cool-off lap shot at Earnhardt after a whole series of racetrack collisions, including that so-called pass in the grass.
You know, it's time for this to stop. You know, the thing of it is I have been not the aggressive driver all my life. You know, I've tried to give and take with the best of the things. But when a guy cuts you off that bad and that obvious, it's time to take the other cheek. You know, the thing of it is you go out and you run as hard as you can all day long, and then him trying to cut you out to outrun it, that ain't the way I was brought up racing.
Fast forward 2 years, 1989, Rusty Wallace gives Darrell Waltrip a nudge and triggers what came to be known as the Tide Slide. Length of the tri-oval didn't hit a thing. DW had dominated the race up to that point, and he remembers it to this day.
Rusty's still drawing interest on my 250, so I never got mad, but then I never got even either.
Hey, if you think Darrell was mad, check out the crews. Everybody wanted to get in on the fight that day. further evidence of the kinds of emotions this race can generate. Onward to 1992 and Motor Racing Network's call of the finish.
Earnhardt runs him all the way to the bottom of the back straightaway. Dust from Kyle Petty's car as he runs through some of the sand at the crossover gate. Now they touch. Earnhardt's car spins in turn number 3. Kyle Petty goes by as Earnhardt spins up to the outside of the track.
Davey Allison on the inside of Kyle Petty. They touch here at the stripe. Allison wins. Allison hard into the outside wall. A crushing hit into the outside wall. Sparks flying from behind the automobile. Davey Allison wins the Winston, but pays a huge price.
Well, I said one guy goes home rich and a lot of guys go home mad. That's not quite true in this case. The losers, Earnhardt and Petty, were laughing and high-fiving afterwards. The beat-up winner, Davey Allison, had to be cut from the car and went to the hospital, Rich. Tell you, how can you not love a race with that much drama and that much emotion? We'll be back with more of the pre-race festivities leading up to the Winston Select after this timeout. We're back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where this week for the first time all year, Fords and Chevys race under a different set of rules. On this mile-and-a-half oval, downforce is the key to speed. Downforce to plant the car in the corner. Conventional wisdom and NASCAR wind tunnel testing says that the Chevy has a little more downforce. So NASCAR has responded with a rule change. This week, the Chevrolets have a 1/4 inch less spoiler on the back than do the Fords. Similarly, a 1/4 inch less air dam on the front. Now, most of the Chevy teams did not come here to test under the new rules. One theory is they didn't want to let the Ford people see what was going to happen as a result of that little 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch there. One guy who did test here is Sterling Marlin. Question, Sterling, what difference do the rules make?
About 2/10, I guess. What figure we lost, and we worked a little bit and gained it back. But you know, I guess the Ford still got a basically a 1/2 inch over us, and we're losing more downforce in the front and the rear than they are.
Do you think this is going to be the end of this? Do you think these are the rules you'll race under the rest of the year?
I hope so. Don't going to have us running trucks.
That is the Chevy viewpoint on this issue. You remember the last time we did the point counterpoint at Daytona, or I'm sorry, at Talladega with Earnhardt and Wallace? We got the great silver spoon quote. I don't know that we'll get anything comparable, but for the blue oval viewpoint, let's go to the other end of the garage area and Alan Bestwick.
Well, Dave, I'm with Dale Jarrett, driver of the Robert Yates Ford. Dale, we just heard a Chevy side of the rule change. What's your opinion from the Ford side? How has it affected your car?
Well, it's taken away downforce from everybody, and certainly we can't get through the corners as hard as we were here last year. I know the pavement's got something to do with it, but the rule change taking that away just doesn't allow us to get through there. Don't think that they've really helped us by taking just a little bit more away from the Chevrolets, so I can't really see that's made that big a difference other than it's hurt everybody.
Do you think that we're not going to see the full effect of the change until you get in traffic for 30, 40, 50 laps?
Yeah, you're going to see it then. It won't even take that long with people stuck up under your bumper, because once you get into the draft and get somebody on your tail, then you're going to find out that you don't have as much spoiler as we had before, and it's really going to make a difference getting into these corners.
Seems to match the consensus of most folks that I've heard, Dave, that it's going to take 30, 40, maybe even 50 laps of racing before we really see what the effect is.
All right, we heard from a Ford guy, we heard from a Chevy guy, and Michael Waltrip has given us a reason to hear from a Pontiac guy tonight by sitting on the pole for the Winston Open. Congratulations, you've gone from this thing into the Winston Select 3 times, and you tell me you're happy to be up front, huh?
Well, it's real important. We started no worse than 4th in the first 3 years that I transferred, and breezed right in, winning 2 of those 3. Last year, we got a bad qualifying effort, wound up starting the rear, and they all decided to wipe each other out. And so the Pensacola Pontiac was crumbled, and my shoulder blade was broken, and was facing 900 miles the next weekend, you know, injured, to add insult to injury. So, you know, this year we're on the pole. We feel like we'll be pretty good tomorrow night.
Let me fast forward you 2 weeks and talk about Dover, because you're one of the guys who's been up there testing. We've heard so much about the abrasive new surface and that the thing's going to be a tire eater, and yet when you went up there to test, you found no problem, right?
Yeah, and I think all the guys that were at that session that I attended feel probably about the same way. It's not a whole lot different than it was, to be honest with you. The groove is the same, and maybe the hump down into turn 1 is a little less, but turn 3 and 4,
reminds you of Dover, you know, that I've known forever. And the team of concreters, the people that did the track must have really worked their rear ends off, because I heard some horror stories before I went up there, and the place was relatively smooth, and it wasn't that abrasive. We could run over 50 laps on a set of tires, and that's kind of why we went, because we heard how bad it was, and I wanted to go see before we're going up there in a couple of weeks, because believe it or not, we're on the pole for the Open, but qualifying's been this team's weak point this year, so we're concentrating hard and working hard to improve that.
Okay, man. Congratulations. Good luck. We'll take a quick break and come back with more from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, this is what it looked like here early yesterday afternoon. Big storm came moving in over the racetrack. And a few moments later, this is what it looked like in the garage area. And Delma Cowart, already having a bad run of luck, was hiding out in the garage when it was hit by lightning.
We got here late. My van almost burned up. Broke the crankshaft in my tow truck. And I'm standing here telling all my buddies how bad, how bad my luck's been. And then lightning hits the building where I'm standing. And concrete starts falling. Then the next thing I know, I'm saying, well, I guess I am lucky because I'm still breathing, yeah. I could be very well dead. All of us could have been. We were standing right here in this doorway. We moved out the doorway pretty quick, though.
All right, Delma. Elsewhere, Ricky Rudd's fine for the equipment violation at Talladega will stand. Rudd's appeal of the amount of the penalty was unsuccessful. The tab, $50,000. And car number 77 has a new driver this weekend only, Bobby Hillen, at the controls of the DK Ulrich Ford, while Davy Jones is at Indy hoping to qualify. He hopes to run both the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 next Sunday. The preliminary to tonight's $200,000 to win Winston Select is the $28,000 to win Winston Open. The important thing about that race is the top 5 finishers get to move up to the big show. And Alan Bestwick is standing by with a man that a lot of folks hope can pull off a victory here tonight.
Well, Kenny Schrader will be a sentimental favorite in the Winston Select Open, not only because most folks would like to see him in the big show, because he had a little accident last week. You probably heard about it, got the tip of his left thumb caught. And Kenny, how is it? You've been out and tried it driving. Is it okay?
Yeah, well, we did a whole lot of practicing today, ran 4 laps, and you know what there, like every time your heart beats, you can feel it in your finger, but we cut it off right above the knuckle, and it's a little sore, but we'll be okay.
This could have been a lot worse for you. It was pretty close.
I was laying there in the hospital bed, and while they were sewing it up, and I was looking, and I said, oh, heck, half a thumb. I mean, could have been a wrist, could have been 4 fingers, and so I said, this ain't bad at all.
Kenny, how about your chances to win the race?
We've been here 6 years. We've run second, third, fourth, third, and we didn't come to win the Open. We're coming to win the Winston, and the thing in Budweiser's heart's flying, and we're going to have a good shot at it.
Well, that's Kenny Schrader. He will be a sentimental favorite to win tonight's race. Dave?
I mentioned earlier this is an unusual Saturday for our television program. Typically, we're looking ahead to a race still to come. But this week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, we've already seen a race, and it was a lot of fun. Let's go back to last night. Heroes of NASCAR's past climbed into Legends cars for their own 3-segment shootout on an infield mini-oval. Richard Childress in car 3, a terror on the outside until his evening came to a premature end. Next, it was number 40, Pete Hamilton. Remember the winged Plymouth out of the Petty Enterprises stable? He was hounded by Little Bud Moore till they too got together.
We'd had a good thing if we had kept going. I think his car kind of liked my car because I thought they got together. I thought they were going to mate.
Well, the old guys were obviously approaching this activity with great enthusiasm. That break between the segments allowed for pulse checks as well as a coin toss to determine whether or not to invert the field. They did not. And number 7, Ramo Stott, emerged from the depths of the grid to become the late race frontrunner. And then he held off number 54, Virginia's Lenny Pond, to take the checkered flag. Well, when the beating and banging was finally over, the trophy belonged to my fellow Iowan, Ramo Stott. Congratulations, man. Looked to me like you had that plan just exactly that way. You had the strategy all figured out ahead of time, right or wrong?
You're wrong. When I started back there in about 20th spot, I thought to myself, now how are they going to flip that coin on the second one? Well, I got up to, I don't know, 6th or 7th in that race, and they flipped the coin, and it was a straight-up start. So I thought, well, now this ain't too bad. I'll have 6 or 7 to go instead of 20. A couple of them fell out. A couple of them got bumped into. Of course, when that happens, you go to the rear. And I just keep weeding my way up inch at a time. And the next thing you know, I'm up leading. I thought to myself, now how can I keep it now? Keep calm, I said. Tell myself, keep calm. Go to the corners, just ease it through there. Come on out strong. And that's the way I'd planned it.
I don't have time to ask a second question. Congratulations, Ramos Todd. We'll take a quick break and be back to wrap things up from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway Infield Media Center, this is where all those ink-stained wretches of the Fourth Estate write that hot copy, live TV broadcast trucks for those handsome reporters like me to file our stories. But when we really want to know the truth, this is the man we come to, Benny Phillips, High Point Enterprise, the master at spreading and shredding the rumor of the week. Put this one away for good. I continue to hear that there's a possibility Rusty Wallace is going to drive a Pontiac next year.
Dave, you can put that one away. Genuine Miller Draft, those people who blew up your television set to tell you that Rusty's back in town, they have a contract with Rusty through the year 2000 that he will be in a Ford. So you can bet Rusty will be in a Ford through the year 2000.
Here is the final word on the Wallace Pontiac rumor. Yes, indeed. We will shred that one for once and for all. And that brings us to the question, who will drive for the new Pontiac team that'll be added next year?
Gee, that's a good question, Dave. A few weeks ago, we felt like that Ricky Rudd would probably be one of the candidates. Now, I don't know. Negotiations may be on a stall with that. That's a real good question.
You keep working on that one. Pontiac is definitely coming. I understand another team may be on its way out. What's up with that?
U.S. Tobacco, those people, the smokeless tobacco people, may go to one dip next year. And if should they cut back from 2 teams to 1, my money is that it will be Rick Mast in the car.
All right, there you go. If the U.S. Tobacco people are preparing their denials right now, so be it. We have already spread the rumor of possibly just one team for U.S. Tobacco next year. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. If you want to send this guy fan mail, here's the place to send it. It's P.O. Box 5774, Athens, Georgia, 30604. We will have no show tomorrow, but we are coming back next Saturday at the same time to cover the run-up to the Coca-Cola 600 a week from tomorrow. Plan now to plug us in to your Memorial Day weekend plan. And remember this, every day my pal Alan Bestwick hosts the radio version of our little TV show. Check out NASCAR Today on your favorite MRN station. Well, that's going to wrap it up here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. We are flat out of time. I'm Dave Despain. For myself, for Mr. Phillips, and for Alan Bestwick, thanks much for being here. We'll see you next week.